Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Fitzsimons, and today it's a kind of bumper edition. We could also call it the kind of emergency podcast edition as well. It's a show that we're used to doing now on a Sunday. I think the first 3 episodes have all been on a Sunday, and today we come to you on this Thursday evening to discuss what has been a shit show for Celtic in the past 24 hours. I'll start with the first guest, Mr. Kieran Auld up the top there. Kieran, how you doing, mate?
As good as you can be in the current situation now.
It's just a
brittle.
It's another one of these ones, you know, get it off your chest special. It just seems like that's going to be the story for every episode. Below Kieran, we've got Ryan McGinley. Ryan, you're back after sitting out in the last episode as well, so it's nice to have the two of you. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Feels as if it's got worse rather than better since I was last on. So.
And you couldn't have thought it would have, aye. And then beside Ryan, finally, back on for the second consecutive episode. He's not the quiz master of the day, but he's here. It's Callum Craig. How you doing, Callum, mate?
As Kieran Auld, he put it best, as good as can be than in current circumstances.
I thought you were just going to give a puff in the cheeks there. I thought that was your answer. I thought you were just going to leave it at that. Of course, it's quite a grim episode to be talking Celtic, because you know, things are just, as we've said, as Ryan, you touched on, it's gone from bad to worse since the last time you were on. It's gone from bad to worse since we've done the last episode. Callum, you were in the company of us on Sunday. We were speaking about the draw with Livingston at Celtic Park. We've now drawn with Livingston at the Tony Macaroni. Your thoughts in the past few days, Callum, mate? If you spaghetti had your thoughts the last few days, Callum, mate, since you last spoke to us?
I think it's become a running theme now, isn't it? It's genuinely is just. I think I said it with you and McKenzie. It's just like a fucking comedy series.
Aye.
General, but will come next. I'd imagine we'll go into Lennon's comments about him leaving and such. But that alone was just. How can he come out and say that?
It's just Neil Lennon for you. It's what we've grown used to seeing from a man who seems defeated. Kieran, last night, we're not going to touch too much on the press conferences Monday when he returned to work and all the rest of it, because I feel like, you know, that's been covered pretty well now over the whole of media. You know, we've seen the reactions to that. Well, let's talk about the game first, amongst the four of us. The game is probably the first thing to talk about. I had a brief kind of chat with the channel last night when I went live, but it's now a time to talk about it in depth. Are you at this point the same as me, where you fully expect us to go into these games not to win? And what did you make of the performance?
I mean, I feel like every game we're going into in the current situation, I'm not expecting a result. As long as Neil Lennon is in charge of Celtic, I will not expect a result for games. It is as simple as that. We're fucking diabolical, and anybody could see that result coming. It's the fact you can see these results coming. You know it's going to happen, but it just hurts that bit more when it happens. And just the way he conducts himself and the arrogance of him to come out and say, "Well, you need to sack me if I'm going to be leaving this job, because I'm not leaving it myself." And that, we can talk about the whole Celtic man thing later, but it just boils my blood.
It's one of the ones that last night, you know, I was expecting him to come out and use yet again another excuse for the performance. Like I was waiting. I turned on BBC Scotland shortly after the game, and it was Lennon speaking, and I was like, right, where's his comment about the snow? You know, that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for an excuse for that. Ryan, albeit the fact that we dropped 2 points again last night, and yet we are still to win in 2021. There was positives in the performance. We looked good at points in the game, but it's just, I don't even know where you go anymore, because defending is humiliating. We're conceding to G. Emmanuel Thomas, who looked like a pub player last night at points of the game. It's just a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a complete joke. I thought for the first 60 minutes we actually played all right. I know we conceded, which was an awful goal to concede. Where was the defending? Where was the goalkeeper? I've tried to stand up for Barkas as much as I can, but he doesn't seem to be able to make a save at all. Mm-hmm. He always seems to be picking the ball out the back of his net. But I thought we were playing all right for 60 minutes. I thought Turnbull was having an all right game. I thought Sorrow was doing okay.
A lot of people were going on about Greg Taylor having like a good game as well, and was in the park.
I mean, he was all right. Left back, I think, is one of our weakest positions, apart from centre back, obviously. But left back looks really, really weak. I think Laxalt's been one of the biggest disappointments after his first 5 or 6 games, and I don't think Taylor's good enough whatsoever.
Of course, it's hard to judge, boys. The fact that we've came into this year and we've been kind of held back in the sense. It's our own fault. We've been held back. We've not been able to play a full strength team for 2 of the games. But we've came into the year now. We've came into 2021, and all 4 games we look to be playing this 4-1-2-1-2. You could say, or we've been playing this narrow diamond at times and stuff. Is it yet again? And I'll open the floor up here to anybody answers. This yet again another one of Neil Lennon's hopes and wishes that we get the best out of something just because of how players play? Is it just him holding on to blind faith, as some would have in Neil Lennon?
The new formations, they work against the weaker teams in the league. We get a few results and we think, oh, this is going to be it, this is the turning point, and then we get found out yet again. And it's just bitterly disappointing that we've not got a set play style that we can actually stick to for the full season.
Ryan, you were going to chip in a point there at the same time as Kieran. Are you echoing the same thoughts? You have something else to add to that?
I would just say that we've been relying on individual bits of brilliance all season. I cannot see what style of play we've got, what sort of philosophy we have at all. I don't think we do have one. I think we're just relying on our best players. Like last night, it was an El Yunusi half volley from a corner, which was a great goal, and it's something that he's been doing most of the season, getting us out of a hole. And then the other goal was a good McGregor pass, but it was just a pass in isolation. We don't seem to have any good build-up play whatsoever. No, I just don't see a style of play whatsoever. I'm completely scunnered with it.
It's the same. I feel like we've always fans came on. I know we've spoken about it on the Talk Scottish Football podcast a lot, me and David. There has been no identity from Celtic all season. There has been no clear plan. There's been no clear tactic. Callum, 53% of our goals was the stat that came out that we have conceded from set pieces this season. I mean, I've said this before. Once again, I'm not saying that you're a Premiership level player. As a man that plays football, and a man who goes to training, a man who's done this, that, next thing. Surely it's as simple as a coach to go, right, we need to work on this. We need to get it sorted. Why are we still conceding these goals? What is happening?
See, it generally is one of the things that's baffling when you look at the average height of our centre halves. And what's Beaton 6'4", 6'5"? Pushing that Ayers on about the same, as well as Duffy 6'4". Can't built like the fucking. You would think he's built like a fridge. He's built like the side of a fiver the way he gets chucked about.
And he's tackling embarrassing. My dad put it great. That guy could tackle a fish supper. He's It's honestly, is it a stretch? And this goes to all 3 of you. Is he potentially the worst player we've ever seen this Celtic shirt? Because I think he's. And Ryan, you were the one that tweeted it first last night. I don't think you're far off the mark with it. And I like
when you take everything into account, you take into account the fanfare that when he arrived, the fact, this Irish captain's came in, he's going to be dominant in the air, he's going to sort us out defensively. He's been the biggest bomb scare out of the lot of them. Like, who could have envisioned this at all?
I know. And you put it really well on Twitter a few weeks ago. I like the way you put it. He's playing like a competition winner. That is, you hit the nail right in the head with that. You'd never think this a guy who's trained, worked as being a professional. He looks the furthest thing from a professional. He doesn't look fit. He doesn't look confident. I mean, what can you do? Kieran, you look like you were eager to say something a moment ago. You got something?
It's just with Shane Duffy. I think we all sort of bought into the thing when he first came to the club. Everybody was excited for it. We all bought into the hype. But honestly, I've never wanted somebody to just turn it around so much and just prove me wrong. But week after week, he's just consistently terrible. And I don't like to berate people, but my Christ, man. He is definitely up there with some of the worst signings I've ever seen. Him and Beaton as a centre-half partnership is absolutely diabolical, man. Like, that is probably up there with one of the worst I've seen.
There was like a point in the game last night. I think Barkas was the one who had the ball. And there was like the camera angle kind of panned to Barkas. And you could see it was Ayer, Beaton. You can see Duffy further up the park. But, it's a very nitpicky thing, right? But you could just see with the looks in the faces. I think they're all just bamboozled at everything that's going on between themselves, never mind the manager. I think, and that goes a long way, and that just shows what's happening at the club and how the club are training and how they're working, and it says a lot. Talking about players and bamboozles and all the rest of it. Scott Brown, what was that about last night, man? And for me, I think that the situation Brown has found himself in there, the fact that we've seen that was a kind of flash of the Scott Brown of old. And the fact he gets sent off in that manner after being in the park a very short while, that is one of those kind of moments and images in a football shirt that signals that the end should be nigh. What happened last night was very uncharacteristic of Brown of recent. Ryan, you're not away there. It was a joke.
Yeah. I hate to mention him on a Celtic podcast, but it reminds me of when Gerrard came on at half-time against Man United, and then he halved Ander Herrera, I think it was.
Aye, that's right.
It was just a signal of the end, really. I think he's already out the team. I mean, Sorrell's cemented his place, and I don't know why he came on anyway. Yesterday anyway. But I can't see a way back from now. I can't see his offering a contract. Maybe he might go into coaching or something, but no, I don't see him in a playing sense in a Celtic top for much longer.
The reason he's probably came on, it's Neil Lennon masterclass, isn't it? Let's bring on Bruni. Let's bring on the centre half. Let's bring on the captain. Let's bring in the old timers. That's what it is. Callum, there was a sense of the game last night. A lot of people were throwing around. This was a Tony Mowbray feel. A lot of people thought this could be the end. We sit here now, Neil Lennon's still Celtic boss, and we'll come on to his comments later on. But Cal, I'll come to you first here. You'd surely be thinking last night that was it. Like it had the feeling in the air. There was something about it, and yet here we are.
You're hoping it's going to be like one of those ones. Obviously, whoever they spoke to after the game came out and said, "Like, that's me. I hold my hand up. I am done." But again, he's, as you said, it did have a very Tony Mowbray-like feel about it. You thought, as soon as we went 2-1 up, you're thinking, all right, maybe we'll see how this goes. But seasons went 2 each. I did not have any faith in us to go and score a third. I did not one bit whatsoever.
If anything, I thought Livingston could go up and go and score a third.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that obviously the conditions were affecting the game, and I'm not using that as an excuse. You can't see it because the way they scored their second goal, you see the way the ball was rolling across the surface to get down to Emmanuel Thomas. It was affecting the game. That did give me the incline that we weren't going to score, but also just because of the feeling in the air, as I said. Kieran, yeah, the same sort of thing I say to Callum last night. For me, should signal to any man in charge of a football club, e.g. Peter Lord, Dermot Desmond, that should be the end.
I completely agree with the whole Tony Mowbray thing. I was saying it the day before the game. I was saying this has just got the pure feel at the midweek. We're going to get pumped at this game, even with the full squad. And then when I seen the rested players, I was like, this is just like poetry, man. They're going to absolutely hammer us here with half of their squad rested, including Efe Ambrose. Like, honestly, what is happening at Celtic? What you're saying about every game, we're like that, surely that's it, surely doesn't survive it. I was talking to my dad last night, and I sat and counted up all the games. I went through the fixture list and looked at all the games that I was like, I said, surely Lennon doesn't survive this after it, and there was 10 of them.
10 games? Jesus Christ.
I don't know, but back then you had people sort of saying, that was me being a pessimist back then, that was me being entitled wee Ned, using a wee bit of the Lennon quotation marks here, but like, we could just see it coming. People were so blinded by keep the faith, it's Lennon, look at what he's done in the past. If you'd listened to us already months ago, we might still be in with a chance, but he has run this club into the fucking grun, and you can't tell me otherwise. Any possible notion of him being a Celtic man, or even mentioned in the same breath as legends, is a fucking joke. Honestly, he's ruined any chance of having a legacy at Celtic. This is what he will be remembered for.
And we'll probably come on to touching a lot of that in the next kind of bit where I'm going to open the floor rather than ask questions. But Ryan, as we've said, enough does seem like enough, right? We know Lennon's not the man to take us forward. We don't need to go through all that again. But last night, he comes out, he speaks to the media, and once again, it just feels like there has been such a tale of refusing to accept responsibility for different things and excuses for this, that, next thing. He's refusing to admit that the league is over, and BBC Scotland, his words were, look, the league might very well be gone. He's refusing to acknowledge that that's gone. He's still insistent, it seems, that there is a chance in God's name that we can turn this around. We're blaming everybody and everything. Pundits are apparently to blame. He's not speaking to Sky. The toxic feeling around the club is something to raise it about, Ryan.
Yeah, the whole situation's toxic. It's a disaster, really, to quote Tommy Sheridan. Nice. It's a catastrophe. He was right. I know he was saying that in a sort of sarcastic tone, but it really is. The way he's handled the media the past week or so has been a complete nightmare. I know some of the points that he made earlier on in the week might have been right, or it might have appeased some Celtic fans, but it was just at the wrong time to say it. Trying to think what else to say about Neil Lennon. I just want him gone. And he should have been gone last night. he should have been going today if they were going to leave it, if they were going to leave it a night. But there's nothing. There's silence. There's complete radio silence. No communication whatsoever.
Aye. It's just what we're growing used to, I suppose. Now, this is the part I kind of want to open up. I don't have a specific question for this because opinions are being thrown around willy-nilly. And this is a point where I believe asking a question may not get quite the opinions of everyone out. I feel like everybody has something to say. We've seen, apparently today, Sky Sports reporting that Neil Lennon saying he will not walk away from the job. You know, he's put so much into this. It's his life. He's been here 20 years. He's not going to walk away. If he's to go, he needs fired. You know, he's pretty insistent on that. So off the back of that, we've seen people coming out with statements which I would be inclined to agree with, that he is, you know, just as bad as the rest of them. You know, he's not a Sellik man. You know, at this point, Rodgers and him are in the same boat. This is a part where I open the floor. One is, feel free to take it away. Neil Lennon leaving the club, opinions. I want to hear it all, lads. I want to hear everything. I want to hear all the fucking bad words I've got to say about him.
It's just so infuriating. Like, it's a term I've used so many times this season. It's just infuriating. Like, everything that's going on at the club. But it's, as I said earlier, the arrogance of him to come out and say, "You need to sack me." Like, what Celtic man says?
Now put that on the quotation marks, because
Celtic man
what about for Rodgers and all the rest of it. So,
well, a Celtic man saying that he is waiting. Like, he's all but said he's waiting to get paid off. He's not leaving by his own accord, and that's been clear for a long time. Because back in October, I'm pretty sure it was the Scottish Cup semi-final press conference, he said, if things start to rapidly deteriorate, I'll hold my hands up and say, right, this might be beyond me. Something else might need to change. Here we are, nearly in February, and we're 20 points off tap with 2 games in hand. And I seen a tweet as well talking about the review. The review, to me, I don't think it was a real thing. I think it was just something to shut the fans up in the meantime, in the hopes that it would go on a decent wee run and they wouldn't need to talk about it. But it's backfired on them, and now they're having to throw something together, because I'm seeing stuff saying that there's going to be an actual outcome to this review by the end of the month. And if it's anything but him being sacked, it is an absolute, it's just a shit show, because there's no way anybody can actually look at that and think rationally he can stay in this job. What evidence is that to suggest he can turn it around or do any better, or any evidence to suggest that he deserves to be in that position? It's just so annoying.
I mean, rapid deterioration. You know, that's what he said. You know, he said if things rapidly deplete or rapidly deteriorate, right? So what is happening now to him? Is this a slump? Is this just a bad rerun? Because to me, this is beyond rapid.
I noticed last night as well, but he changed some of his vocabulary. He was saying before, he's like, we're just going through a bad wee spell. We've been playing bad recently. Last night he said we've been playing bad this season, all season. So now he can't just say it's a spell anymore. He's even came out and unwittingly acknowledged that it's been all season. And I don't know how he can think he's the man to stay in the job. And he knows he's not the man to stay in the job. He is literally there for the payout. And for that is despicable. And anybody trying to defend him, just please fuck off.
Nicely put. Opinions, Callum, Ryan, let me know your thoughts towards the whole situation. Kieran's done it very, he's been very articulate there. Callum, yourself, I mean, your thoughts towards it all.
I think I would generally, I couldn't disagree with anything Kieran just said. I would put it on par with the tweet I put up about Ryan Christie last night. Christie and Lennon, fuck off. Like, Christie done my tits in so much last night. I might say it when we were talking about their second goal. See how easily he just gets put in his arse off Brown? Oh my God, it's like genuinely laughable. But nah, the two of them just, Lennon alone just needs to go.
Do you feel the same sort of...
it's so infuriating.
Do you feel... I just see it in your eyes, mate. Do you feel that same sort of... you know, the thing that people are saying about, you know, he's turning his back in the club at this point. He's doing things in the sense that it looks as though he's holding the club hostage, as it seems. Do you think that he's now throwing his reputation down the pan? If
we split it into his managerial and player, then managerial-wise, absolutely. I think people will always be that keep the faith fucking band where they'll always highly regard them. They'll always say, oh, he's done this, that, and the rest of it for the club. Yes, he'd success before, but no, for me, I feel as if he's just chucked all that in the bin.
Ryan, your Twitter is always fantastic to keep up with, and your opinions have been pretty much spot on. I couldn't agree more. It always annoys me as well, because I think the exact same as you half the time. And I go to tweet, and you've already beat me to it. So you've been vocal, and here's your time to speak on it.
Yeah, I would actually like to mention Christie as well. I thought that that defending, we're going to use these rabbit ears quite a bit, was an absolute disgrace. I was going to use rabbit ears. He's got the heart of a rabbit, the heart of a mouse.
My favourite one so far is the one with Sooty and the other one, the puppets.
I love that one, yeah.
That's a good one. But I can tell you what you were saying, right?
No, I think his legacy's tarnished, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think the main objective in his job when he was appointed was to deliver the 10. He's not delivered the 10, and it's even worse than that. It's not as if we're even putting up a fight. We're 20 points behind, like in January.
Yep.
I don't know how the review can go other than him getting his P45, and it's not even a money thing at this point. This is an embarrassment. Like, has no one got a red neck over this?
I know. I mean,
that's opinion. And Livingston let go. Well, Gary Holt knew that his time was up, and he went. And look at the difference that Martindale has made.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about him needing a fit and proper test. There's only one man that needs a fit and proper test, and it isn't David Martindale.
Yep. I mean, you're talking about, has anybody got a red neck? It seems like, a phrase that I like Kieran's through it a lot in the past. He couldn't mark Neil Lennon's with a Botox at this point. He's a brass neck. He's living up to the character now. It seems like he has taken this role of the comedy act, the man who's front page, back page every week, and he's just thought to himself, I'm taking this, I'm grabbing it, and I am running as far as I can with it. It feels like to me, and Kieran, I don't know about you, at this point, I feel like there's something about Neil Lennon that is enjoying the negative limelight, because he's now thrown himself further under the bus with the way he's been treating the media. We've now got this situation where he's not wanting to talk to Sky Sports, and instead he's sending out El Yunusi at his place. Like, what is his mindset at all? As Ryan said, is he fit and proper to be here?
There's somebody that's been complaining about how much the media have been attacking him in his position at Celtic. He's certainly no doing himself any favours to draw attention to himself. Like, if he's sitting saying all this stuff to the media, and fair enough, like, you can maybe argue that Andy Walker and things like that in the past, even Celtic fans can admit he's a prick. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't out of line with what he said about Celtic going to Dubai. Most people could realise it was a bad idea to go to Dubai. But before the Livingston game, you had a lot of people seemingly getting back on side with Lennon because he came out swinging and gone after these bastards in the media and all that have been after us for years. And I'm like, is that really all it takes to sway people's decision on Lennon in or Lennon out now? Because before that game, I was genuinely seeing people backing him again because of what he said in the media. I was like, how stupid do you need to be? Like, honestly, and I'm seeing things as well. The tweet that really pissed me off today was somebody said about how the Lennon Out Brigade need to take some responsibility for how bad this season's went. I'm like, are you taking the piss? Like, because we've wanted him out for ages, supposedly that's had a negative effect on the team. Mm-hmm. He's had a negative effect on the team. Like, they're glaring, it's just a glaring omission for that tweet. The fact that Lennon himself is the one that's ruined this team this season. I said it last night on Twitter. He's took his team as serial winners and turned them into that shite that we see before us. Like, the recruitment's been questionable all season. Like, you look at players and see what I said about Duff earlier. Like, you want them to do well, you want them to prove you wrong. Mm-hmm. There's too many players that you're saying that about.
Yep.
Fucking Barkas, no made a save all season.
Aye.
Like, that's the way it feels. Like, there's not been a standout save. You can go, oh, he done his turn there. Whereas with Fraser Foster, he was saving our asses last season, left, right, and fucking centre. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's just so many things have went wrong at Celtic this season, and Neil Lennon is the epicentre of that.
That's literally the word that was just ringing around my head there. I was about to turn to Callum and go, would you say that's just the epicentre for it all? But look, ask Kieran the question about being fit proper after Ryan brought it up. This chapter that he's now starting, and the warfare with Sky and Andy Walker and looking for an apology, to you, does it ever worry you that this could be something that turns. I wrote an article a few months ago, and it was about. And this was back October, November time. I wrote an article talking about how Neil Lennon creates a poison chalice of the Celtic job, and I thought a lot of people would be turned off because he'd be coming in, and he'd be the man responsible for losing the 10. We've now passed that stage now, the kind of limbo period of that being the case. I think whoever comes in now will never be known as the man responsible for losing the 10. That will always and forever be Neil Lennon. But when you see the things that Lennon has done over the past week, does it worry you, Cam, about the attraction of the Celtic job being appealing to somebody like Eddie Howe?
No, I mean, I think obviously if he is to keep his job to the end of the season, you bring him in, give him a fresh season, it's not as bad. Obviously, people might come in not looking like no one will say they lost the 10 because everyone will point the finger at Neil Lennon, but people might still have that bit of doubt in the back of the head. I feel say, do I want to go into that? Also, what we've seen in recent weeks with fans and such, but try to get a point across. I still feel like the job's perfectly fine for anybody to take. I don't feel it's a poison chalice as of now.
Yeah, you agree, Ryan? Do you think that kind of someone should like Eddie Howe will be fine to come in just now? You think that it's something that can be sorted, isn't it? If Eddie Howe comes in, we don't need to have this sort of back and forth between Andy Walker and the club or anybody else. Somebody comes in, they're going to be far more mature than Lennon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the job is super attractive, especially if you could become a hero by turning this team around again. Mm-hmm. That's the way I would see it. I can't think of a bigger job that would be available at this point. I might be biased, but a team that you could reinvigorate Celtic, I feel like that's a massive job still. And I feel like they need to come in now because we've got the Champions League qualifiers in the summer. If we get second place, which is still a question mark.
The story of the season is now turning into can we finish second, but like it.
But we can't afford not to get into European competitions because that brings about good money and it brings about good players that want to play in Europe.
Knowing Celtic, and I think we can all agree on this one. I think knowing the way that Celtic operate and the way that things have gone this year, it would not be a shock in the slightest if Celtic were to wait a week before the qualifiers and go, oh, here's a new manager, by the way, there's a week to work with him. You wouldn't put it past them at this stage. But look, Lennon's got a lot of mending to do now in between that. I think his attitude needs to be sorted pronto. His approach to the media has to be sorted. Look, Kenny Crawford was asking him simple questions last night in BBC Scotland and he was jumping down the throat of him. I mean, I don't know what it is at this point with Lennon, but I think he knows as well as us all. I think he knows he's a man who's defeated, and we've touched on that. But he's like Kenny Crawford's asked him, like, would you play if the players let you down this year? And he didn't throw anybody directly under the bus. It would be wrong of him to do that. And I think that would have created another story in itself. He's out there and he's saying, like, the players have let me down in the sense that, they've not played the way they should be playing and all this. So I'm like, well, Neil and Kieran, I'm sure you'd agree here. I'll come at you. Surely that's his job. His job is to get them motivated and his job is to get them playing like they were last season.
I know, I do agree. It's definitely Lennon's responsibility to get the players up for it, and that's something he's been priding himself on, and other people have lauded him for early years as his man management and how he's supposedly good at. You've got players saying they would run through, like previous players saying they would run through brick walls from that. You just wonder where that's went this season because nobody looks like they're playing from it there. And it's just baffling how it's went so wrong this season, seasons.
Well, just to address very quickly, people might be wondering what has happened to Callum Craig. He's just sort of disappeared into the dust. I think his Wi-Fi's died on us. So, you know what? Once again, I'll say, as I said on one of my old videos, if Celtic's gone tin pot, may as well do it here too. So that's the way I'm going to go for it. Right. Okay. Questions. Twitter. I put out a tweet this morning saying we're doing an emergency podcast, you could say. JB and Dale would be proud of us. I'm just going to come to you with a question each, pretty much. I think that's the best way. I'm going to go for it just now. The first one has been asked by Lewis Laird, of course. Lewis, a friend of the channel. He said, at this stage, have we just given up the January transfer window? Seems like there's no point in business being done without knowing where we go moving forward. Ryan, I'll open that to you, son. What are you thinking?
I think Lennon's words, you can't really trust Lennon with his words, because after Julian got injured, he said that we needed defensive reinforcements. Yeah, I've not seen a single rumour.
Yep. Not one like.
It just seems as if we've gave up. And with the talk of the review at the end of the month, like, are we not going to sign anyone?
It's a right mess again. It's just another example of what things are like at the club. Kieran, some people would maybe say that the reason we're not signing players is because we know there's a change coming. So how much does it bother you that we're not signing players? Because on one hand, you're like, we need players, but the other hand, the league's gone. Lennon might not be here next year. What is the point in bringing in players that aren't for him? That's maybe the kind of attitude you get for some people. But it's still important that we try and reinforce this team we have right now.
I think so, just to make sure it doesn't even get even more embarrassing, which it is destined to do with this current team. We need reinforcements. It's not going to happen. Judging by it, we've only got 10 days left of the window. So I'm no fancying any chances at MD coming in, as Ryan said. I've not seen a rumour. The only one I thought maybe this window was maybe going to be Declan Gallagher. Not that I wanted him, but it just seems like just incompetent. You either get Lennon, get a manager in, give him a couple of signings, but they've just gave up the ghost and they're waiting until this review. And I don't think we will sign MD. If we do, it'll be a panic loan on deadline day, something like that.
Like Alexa outside again.
Very close to it.
Right, next question. Thanks, Lewis, by the way. Robert Grant is asked, I think this question is a bit daft. It's not, no offence, Robert, by the way, but he says, would you turn your back on Celtic if the gap got any bigger after the games in hand? I don't think anybody's ready to turn their back on the club. You might question people's loyalties to Neil Lennon at the minute, but certainly not the club. I would be correct in saying so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, no matter how bad things get, you don't just turn around and say, nah, I'm not supporting them. Like, no matter how much we bang on here about how much of a shambles it is, it doesn't mean you don't support the club. Just because you've campaigned for fucking change all season doesn't mean that you don't support the club. Like, it's just this whole mentality that's came this season. The younger ones don't know how good they've got it, and if they criticise the club, then it means they don't support them. So I don't know where this whole things came from. There's Callum just reappeared back in the Zoom call.
I know, there's Callum. There's a question. Are you ready to turn your back on the club, mate?
Nah.
we're going to start an Aston Villa fan podcast next. That's what we're all changing to. No, I think it is a bit of doubt. John McGinn loyal, mate. I don't think any of us are ready to turn their back in the clubs. I think that would be daft to suggest. I think, Ryan, we spoke about this as well, and Kieran, you were on the show. We're fans have already said that, yes, we're kind of falling for the low puppeteer, but we'll probably end up renewing our season tickets. Like, it's just a reality.
No, are you going to say something else, Ryan?
I don't know where I stand on that, to be honest.
You changed, aye.
I know for a fact I'm not the only one that's thinking like that.
It wasn't you, sorry. It wasn't you, it was on. I've put words in your mouth there. It was Callum, I think me and Cal McKenzie were talking about how we're going to end up still renewing our season ticket. So are you in that kind of... But that at the same time, it's not turning your back on the club. You're still going to watch and support the club. You're just... I can understand completely the point of view that why you line the pockets of Lawland and such at the minute with the state we're in.
I just feel as if a renewal would mean that you still support that. Mm-hmm. I cannot support... But I mean, I do support the team, obviously, but I cannot support this management and this board at this current time. Not due to this season, it's just not acceptable at all. And change has to happen. And I don't know how else you're supposed to. Sorry, I don't know how else you're supposed to show that without protesting outside the ground. I know you can't do that in a pandemic, but this is the next thing. We can't do anything. We're stuck in the house.
Mm-hmm. Kieran, you were going to chip in a point there as well.
It's just, as much as I'd love to be part of the voting with your feet thing and that, it's just I can't bring myself not to renew the season ticket, and that's playing right into their hands, and it fucking infuriates me. But it's the same thing when things go back to normal. I don't want to no go to the football. Like, I know you've maybe not got the same chance now. Like, it's the whole thing. You're paying a fortune and you're lining these bastards' pockets, but at the end of the day, it's something you go to every weekend, and that it's something you don't want to lose. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a problem with the waiting list and that when all this is over with. I think the waiting list is pretty much wiped out as it stands. But nah, I'm definitely going to renew the season ticket, and I fucking hate myself for that because I'm where I'm fucking ideologically on we should get the bastards out, don't line their pockets, but at the same time they've got us by the balls. Like, they know what they're doing.
They know what
they're doing. Do you know what? I will renew a season ticket because I'll get a student season ticket, so it'll be cheaper.
I'll get that next year, I know.
That's it. You're at the full-time job, Dookie. There you go. You're saving some money.
Part of the deal.
If you've missed what we're doing, Cal, we're on to Twitter questions. So I'll throw a question over to you to start us off here. Sorry, I had a wee bit of a throat problem there. Sean has asked, did you do a fire sale just now of players that don't want to be here next season? I think we touched on this in one of the other shows.
I think we spoke about that a wee bit last week. I mean, ideal also it'd be good to have the money in there, but I mean, it's hard as if we've got the right manager in and out to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather wait until we've got a manager who's doesn't act like a child and throw his toys at the pram before we start bringing money in for him to go and spend.
I like
so,
to... Well,
I was going to say, I wouldn't start a fire sale than that.
What about you, Ryan Kieran? What are you thinking about an exodus of players? You know, there's murmurs of players who don't want to be at the club. We know that. There's been murmurs all season. Would you get rid of them now? Ryan, I'll come to you.
I mean, I think their value is depreciated so much already this season. You're going to get a low fee in January or an even lower fee in the summer. What are we playing for this season? The Scottish Cup? I mean, that's been postponed. We don't know when that's going to get played. Maybe Lennon might use that next season as a cup to keep him in the job. I don't know. But, no, because that's the only good thing that's happened this season.
Oh, no, it is. I'm saying it's mental. I think that's what it's came to, but in it.
No.
That'll be the thing to save him.
The next question.
5 out of 6, remember?
Right, 5 out of 6. Right, he's done a grand job. That's what it was. That's the first. That was the very first thing I think I heard when I turned on Radio Scotland at first yesterday. And he was, I've won 5 out of 6 trophies. You know, I was like, oh, geez, peace, man. Geez, a rest. I like the wording of this. Capital Boy 93 has asked question. With 7 wins from 22, 4 league games without a win for the first time since 2000, the Bolly farce, home exits to Ferencváros and Ross County, 4-1 defeats home and away to Sparta Prague, 3 derby losses in a row, a Dubai fiasco, and Neil Lennon's press conference meltdown, have we reached rock bottom as a club?
I would say aye, but I feel like it only gets worse for here. So I think it's just a bottomless pit. I think there's a bottom there. It just keeps going.
We've hit obsidian just now. We've still to get to bed.
No, but the point I was going to make is we've crammed 9 years of the banter years into one season. We've managed to do it somehow. We see the list you're reading out. There's tenfold of that as well. That's just the key things. Like there's just so much that's went wrong this season. It's honestly laughable. And if this happened on the other side, like in Glasgow, you'd be pissing yourself.
And that's why they're quite rightly ask you comments all the time. Oh, having a great laugh here. I'm like, well, as you should, because if it was happening to Rangers, I would be pissing my pants. And to be honest, we have been having quite the laugh over the past 9 years. So it's quite right. And you can't blame them for it. And who's to blame? Well, the club itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. Ryan, question for you. Fat Boy Beans has asked, if Neil Lennon doesn't leave, will I go batter him?
Please do. No, I don't want to be inciting violence. Have a polite word with him.
A polite word. I don't think polite cuts it at this stage, Ryan. He's actually a serious question from Fat Boy Beans. And make sure you go check out the Fit's Been Happening podcast. Good guys there on a good show. He's asked, is Neil Lennon using his untouchable relationship with the board against the supporters? And is it worse than what Brendan Rodgers did to the supporters?
Yes, I think this is worse. Because he knows we're in a rut and he's not doing what he needs to do, which is leave the position in order for things to improve. He's okay with us playing like this. He's okay with us dropping points into like a perilous position at second place. He's all right with it. Mm-hmm. This is worse. I know Brendan left in that, but he left us in a pretty good position. We were 8 points clear. Aye. And we had a great team. And I know Rangers were a wee bit resurgent, but they were dropping points as well. It wasn't as big a disaster as what it was made out to be, I don't think. Mm-hmm. No, this is worse for me.
I think the majority of people would probably still go under the nickname of Rat for Brendan, but Callum, with what Lennon is doing at the minute, you know, he's making himself a Bond villain rather than the hero that he's meant to be. Neil Lennon, the one who we've stuck through thick and thin, through sectarian abuse, through bullets in the post, through genuine physical attacks on the touchline, is now kind of giving a big middle finger to the fans, Calvin. I know we've touched on it, but, you know, he is getting to the point now where you do measure him up alongside Brendan Rodgers, and you look at men who are meant to be Celtic men, and he's just done it as bad as Rodgers.
I know he has. I mean, like, if I was put it in a perspective, like, I would ask you, do you think Rodgers would be doing the same as Lennon is? If he was in this rut, do you think he would hold his hands up and say, right, I've done what I can, I'm away, or do you think he would stay in the seat?
I think if Rodgers was... That's a good question, because, of course, I think that before Rodgers left the club, everybody would have had this sort of vision that he would do the best for the club. And I think if he found himself in a situation similar to Neil Lennon just now, he would walk. But then you look at how he did leave the club, and then you've got to look at the confidence himself, because Brendan Rodgers, let's get one thing straight. For me, he's probably the third best coach in the whole of Britain. I think after Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, no one's better than him. I don't think there's one. You couldn't give me one that I would say aye. He's got to be confident in abilities because he's genuinely good at his job, unlike Neil Lennon, who's proven that he is perhaps not as good at his job. So maybe there would be a right for Rodgers to look at the club in the position we were in October and go, I can turn this round. And to be honest, you'd have faith in him to turn it round, I think, as well. But I think that if he got to the point where Lennon is now, I genuinely do believe that he would walk. I think that he would look at it and go, my stock is still slightly high here. Maybe I could go.
I think the thing is, he wouldn't let his stock lower to this level. He would have known, because he's egotistical. That is one thing about Brendan Rodgers. He is an egotistical manager. He wouldn't have let it get this bad because it would look bad on him. Mm-hmm. He's got that sort of foresight in him, which makes him an elite manager. He is an elite manager. He is one of the best in the league. Look, they're, what are they, second in the table now? Second, third in the table? They're a challenger for the league this year down south.
They're quietly...
Because they've got a good manager.
He's the key to it. He's absolutely transformed them. And look, there is nothing wrong with being egotistical in this sport. All of the best have egos. You know, you look at Guardiola, Mourinho, Klopp, they have egos. Very big egos at that. They're the three kind of best ones down there. I mean, I forgot to leave Mourinho. I left Mourinho out of the conversation when talking about managers down south. But those four are the four best down there, and they're all egomaniacs. So, you know, it's just a question. I think you're spot on, Ryan. I think the stock, he wouldn't let his stock drop this far. Right, anything to add in very quickly before we move on to the last post of the show, the quiz section of the show? Kieran, have you got anything?
I was just going to say, I think, just vaguely touching on that, I feel like Neil Lennon's clinging on to this job because he knows he's not getting hired anywhere else at this point. Who would take him? They've seen the shit show that's unfurled this season. You can even say, for like the footballing point of view, but see even just the way he's conducted himself in the media and that, like, that's not appealing. He's never going to get a bigger job in Celtic, and he knows it. And it's going to be a while before anybody touches him, I think. There's nobody that would look at him and go, oh, Neil Lennon's just been sacked for Celtic. Let's bring him here. Mm-hmm. Like, how is that? And that's not a good idea for any club. Especially
when you look at the situation with St Johnstone this week. You know, St Johnstone they wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot barge pole. But if he left Celtic on a higher place than he was now, and without this media sort of, this kind of outburst towards the media and outburst towards clubs and the government, that St Johnstone's a team which, you know, could maybe look in the future to go, Neil Lennon, a manager who's won a lot of things, but now he's went and lambasted the club, and St Johnstone have lambasted back. I don't see any Scottish Premiership side who would look at him as an attractive manager. And I don't just mean physical appearance. You know, it's just he's landed himself in a horrible situation. Ryan, anything to add before we move on to the quiz section of the show?
Yeah. Where is Ayeti? We spent $5 million on him this season. Where is he? He's not scored. I'm trying to think of the last time he scored. I actually think it was against Hibs at home.
It was Hibs.
3 or 4 months ago. I mean, I know. Cool. The thing is, I think that was the start of the problems. I know it wasn't made out to be as big as what it was. Signing Ayeti instead of Tony has been one of the biggest mistakes of this season because he was there for taking.
So much faith in Ayeti. I thought that Ayeti was going to be, you know, a guy who was going to come in and be a suitable replacement for the day that Edouard left. They're not similar in the style they play, but a man who's going to get you goals and a man who's going to be a high-level player. And, you know, he's just, I don't know what he's done to not get a game. I don't know if it is just the fact that he's not good enough, if he's not fit enough. I don't know if it's like the Wilfred Zaha situation where he's shagging somebody to do with Lennon. You know, it's, you know, at this point, I really don't know. And part of me wants to see him come back, but as you're right, you know, maybe it's just one of the grave mistakes of this season that we didn't sign the likes of Ivan Toney.
Financially as well as a football perspective as well. Because look at his value now. Brentford are probably going to get 20-30 million for him now.
Yep. Would he be 20-30 million though if he was in the Scottish Premiership? That's the question.
He would need to hit proper good numbers for that sort of estimation up here, especially in the current market with teams suffering a bit with COVID and that. But because that's obviously impacted even the biggest clubs financially.
I just thought he ticked 2 boxes because he was a good striker to come in and he could have been the striker to replace Edward next season. You bed him in for this season the same way that Edward was bedded in with Dembele's last season. You could have bedded him in and then he would be the main man maybe next season. Maybe he didn't want to do that.
It's the fact
I hope he was desperate to come.
I know, that's what I was going to say. The Peterborough chairmans came out plenty of times and said he wanted to go to Celtic, they just weren't willing to pay the money. And that's the board costing us yet again. And how many players are we going to rue that we never signed them?
I must admit, I was
piling up.
I must admit, I was on the sort of I was on the sceptical side of Ivan Toney, I must admit, but we'll save that for another day. We'll move on to that another time. With the time we've been on the show. Callum, anything you'd like to add before we get to the quiz? Of course, you're competing in the quiz today.
Okay, I'm just joking for the episodes where we can talk about happier times, man. Best 11s and that, favourite players and such. I'm just looking forward to the days.
I love how I set up this podcast to be more of a light-hearted view on Celtic. You know, I wanted it to be a good laugh. I wanted this to be able to have a chuckle. Didn't have to be too statistical. Didn't have to be anything like that. And here we are, 4 episodes in, and all we've done is fucking moan. Great. I love it. But aye, time for the quiz. And today we're in a situation where there's 4 of us. Callum, of course, will compete because he hasn't competed yet. And it means that we either have to have Kieran or Ryan take place in the quiz. Now, Kieran has won a quiz already. He won the very first edition of the quiz where he defeated Ryan, actually. But we don't know who's going to be taking on Callum. So in good old Beat the Pundit style fashion, we're going to draw it out the hat to see who takes on Callum in this quiz. Will it be one of the winners in Kieran or will it be Ryan? Let's see. Are you excited to find out who it is, boys? The John. Well, it's Mr. Auld, Kieran Auld. You're going to be trying to defend that. Ryan, feel free to be the man who, if they can't get the answer, you're the man who can chip in if you like. So if I ask Callum a question, he can't get the answer. Kieran, you don't jump in yet. We'll let Ryan see if he would know what the answer is. But boys, I've not done it yet. I've not done the famous heads or tails. You know, but like Callum, this is your first quiz, mate. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Heads or tails? It's tails. So, set A or set B, mate?
Set B.
Set B. That means you're up first, Kieran, mate. Are you ready? Right, here we go. Question 1. In which decade was Celtic Football Club formed? Its formation was stated as being a team for the poverty areas in the Glasgow East End.
1880s.
Correct, 1880s is correct. If you got that wrong, I'd have been slightly shocked. Question number 2. Cal, in 1937, Celtic played in front of a crowd numbering 146,433, which remains a record for a club match in Europe to this day. Who did Celtic play in which competition? I'll deal with it. Just who did Celtic play in and what stadium? Fuck the competition.
I feel like you've had this one before at some point.
Never. Maybe on Talk Scottish Football, in fact. Maybe.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Jesus Christ. Who's even big back then? Somebody playing a competition that wasn't in Scottish football?
No, it was in Scottish football. The competition is in Scottish football.
Oh,
so Scottish football. It isn't.
Competition?
I said forget the competition because you could pick a league, you could pick cups. So one of those. Just what team?
Fuck.
And what stadium?
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen's correct, right?
Is it?
Aye, Aberdeen's correct.
It wouldn't be Rangers. I feel like Rangers would have been obvious.
143,000 at what stadium?
I'm just going to go down the middle. Hampden.
Hampden is correct. Correct answer. There you go. That's right. So it's 1-0. It's a good start this time. We've got questions right. Question 3, Kieran. Who became Celtic manager? And he's had 2 easy ones to start. Used to pick set A, Callum. Who became Celtic manager in March 1965 and guided Celtic to their first victory in a Scottish Cup final in 11 years? Jockstein is correct. Such an easy start for Kieran. Right, question 4. Celtic was the first British club to win the European Cup final. Can you name the year they won it, the team they beat, and the city in which they played in?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Like a Celtic City t-shirt.
I didn't even look at the questions, man. Right, Cal.
You genuinely should have.
Right,
so the year,
aye.
67.
Right,
The city, Lisbon.
right.
And the team, Inter Milan.
Right, well done, mate. 2 each. Yeah, it's keeping it exciting.
Jesus Christ, man.
You can't say it's not been exciting. Question number 5 here. which Celtic captain? Yeah, this is where it gets hard. Which Celtic captain was also the first British person to win the European Cup with a non-British team?
Paul Lambert.
Paul Lambert's correct. It's 3-2. Kieran Ryan's just been sitting there like, somebody get one wrong, man. Let me have a pop.
I wouldn't have even got that.
Would you know him now?
Paul Lambert.
Correct.
Dortmund won it.
Aye. Question 6, Cam. Can you name the first ever Celtic manager who never played for the club?
The
first one that never played for the club, in mind.
That have been. Oh, fuck. What's
quite a
the correct
difficult
pronunciation? Is it? Oh, fuck, man. I'd have thought the doctor, but no. Oh, fuck it. Nah, just put him down.
Liam Brady is the correct answer. I wouldn't have got that myself. I must admit, I wouldn't have got Liam Brady. But a good guess, Cam, a good guess. Which player, Kieran, made a record 822 appearances for Celtic in all competitions?
Bobby Lennox? No.
It's Billy McNeil. Well, I was waiting for the right answer. Sorry, Ryan. Sorry, Ryan. Billy McNeil's
Ryan's answer.
Aye. So, question 8. A chance to equal it up, Cal. A chance to equal it. Who did Celtic sign for £100,000 in May 1983? This player made 204 appearances in all competitions and scored 126 goals over 4 seasons.
Jesus.
Man, you're damn it, tell you about, to be honest.
Oh, fuck. No point in asking him. He's useless. Nah, there'll be Celtic guys that'll be raging at me because I don't get this. That was well before my fucking time.
Titled.
Titled, mate.
You know your history.
Fathom my guess, mate. Fathom my guess.
See, I was going to make the joke. See, last week you kept going with Tosh McKinley. I'm going to say Glenn Loovens is mine this week, but nah, can I guess for the life of me?
Right, the answer's Brian. Ryan, do you want to have a go?
Is it Brian?
It's Brian McClare. Brian McClare's the answer.
Aye.
Brian McClare. Right, Kieran, to solidify yourself as winner of the quiz, in 2000, a shock 3-1 defeat at Celtic Park in the Scottish Cup by which club led to the departure of John Barnes as manager?
Inverness.
Inverness is correct. So you've won again, Kieran. Quite a good one this time, but Cal, I will give you the chance here. In 1997...
Just put me out my misery, Ryan.
You surely get this one. In 1997, Wim Janssen became manager. Ironically, he was a member of which club side that defeated Celtic in the 1970... Oh, there you go, Cal.
Sorry, no.
Sorry,
just try to shout something into me there, but I couldn't hear her because I've got that in that ear and she's at that side of me. Sorry, repeat the question.
Wim Janssen was part of which 1970 side that beat Celtic in the European Cup final?
Jesus, who did we play?
He's forgot. How's he forgot?
I wasn't expecting to get asked it. My head was away.
Basically, the answer to the question is who beat us in 1970, mate. That's it. Oh.
See again, you're fucking... I want to get caught in tight, wouldn't I?
Oh.
Well, we're young Callum, man.
I'm trying to let's get to the Sellik dash stage.
We've got,
we've got 1 minute 20 left in the Zoom call, mate. Let's get it done. Come on.
Might just let it die out right to the very last second.
I won't be back for a fucking outro.
We'll better it on that.
Storm out.
Final.
Final.
Try thinking back again because did they not beat us the year after we won? Was it year 2 after?
Wait, doesn't matter. We won it in 67, they beat us in 70. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here. Kieran, Ryan, Carl, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you at the weekend for another episode where we'll more than likely be depressed. So thank you all very much.